The gentleman from Oregon is recognized for 3 minutes.
I thank the distinguished chairman for bringing this issue before us. You know, we've heard on the Republican side, this is just about the little guys. They only want to help the little guys, except that the loopholes that they would create with the Lundgren provisions could be used by the big guys. So that is, if you like the status quo, if you like the fact that some of the largest insurance companies in America saw their profits go up by 56% last year, if you like the fact that in many states we're seeing huge double-digit increases, over 50% in Michigan, 40% in California, 20% in my state, if you think the system's working today, then you should support Mr. Lundgren's idea. Preserve the status quo. That's what they're saying. Keep the loopholes. Allow them to continue to collude and price fix. Now, there are a few other people who disagree with them. In fact, we had a bipartisan commission created by the Republican Congress when they controlled the House and the Senate and signed into law by President George Bush. The members were appointed by George Bush, the Republican heads of the House and the Senate. And their conclusions considered Mr. Lundgren's arguments, and they rejected them. A bipartisan professional commission created by the Republicans, and George Bush said, after saying, yes, there are these arguments that are being made, but they say, like all potentially beneficial competitor collaboration generally, however, such data sharing would be assessed by antitrust enforcers and the courts under a rule of reason analysis that would fully consider the potential pro-competitive effects of such conduct and condemn it only if on balance it was anti-competitive. They don't want the Justice Department to have that capability. They don't want any additional levels of review. There are many states that are totally incapable of dealing with these issues, particularly with multi-state, multinational companies that operate outside their borders, set rates outside their borders, and then import those rates into the state saying, oh, well, that was our experience. We operate in 27 states after all, and you're part of our system. So if you like the status quo, if you like the double-digit rate increases, if you like the limits on market competition, if you like the concentration that's been going on in the industry, then you would support the status quo, which is essentially what Mr. Lundgren has offered. But I don't. And I don't think the American people do either. I think we have tremendous consensus around the country that it's time for this abusive industry to play by the same rules as every other. And the small companies will still be able to obtain the data as long as they don't use it in a collusive manner. But it's always just about the small companies, except that the exceptions they want to provide are for the big companies also. We have expert testimony from the director of the Center for Health Law Studies, St. Louis University, saying that is not the case. It will not disadvantage small companies. We have Mr. David Balto, an antitrust expert, saying it will not disadvantage the small companies. But the Republicans are, purporting that it would. Finally, on this CBO report that it won't lower premiums, that was based on the Lundgren language. Without the Lundgren language, it will save money, $10 billion for consumers.
The gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Madam Speaker, I'll yield 2 minutes to the gentleman from California, Mr. Lundgren.
The gentleman from California is